Now, goals of network security. So why do we speak about network security, and what are the main goals of network security? It's going to be to offer to our data what is called confidentiality, which confidentiality, as we're going to speak when we go to VPNs. So in here we speak about confidentiality from the network security point of view, not from the VPN point of view. So the scope of implementing network security to begin with is to offer confidentiality to our data. And data can be whatever, it can be in whatever form. Can be in electronic format, can be in physical format, so it can be an asset, or can have various types in there. So the scope is to offer confidentiality, which means to make sure that only authorized users have access to that specific asset or data. Then to also provide integrity, which means that data you should not allow the data to be tampered or modified by unauthorized users as well. So like for example, if you have an FTP server or a web server providing specific services, let's take a web server, right? So if you have a web server that you run a newspaper on, you got to make sure that only authorized people are allowed to publish data on your web server to be readable by the whole internet, and also only authorized people are allowed to modify and change that data around in there. Because otherwise, if an attacker can do that as well, he can actually do what has happened a lot of times in the internet, that your web server got basically hacked, which means none of the published articles are no longer available. It's gonna show up a basic banner which says you've been hacked, and then optionally they're gonna also tell to the public you've been hacked by whatever the name of the hacking group is in there. And likewise, it has to be available. So doesn't matter if the data you're trying to protect is a asset or a system, as I was saying, doesn't matter. That has to be available. So if we speak about data, it means it should be accessible whenever needed. You're going to have policies that specific data are reachable within specific time windows. Likewise, systems that you use in your network have to be functional as designed and configured. So a firewall or a router or a switch has to do its job either 99.9% of the times in most cases, or in specific isolated cases, a device has to function only between specific hours. Like for example, you may have a VPN, a device which, based on your security policies, is configured and allowed to provide services only between 5 p.m. and then 7 a.m. in the morning. So that's a rule which states nobody is allowed to VPN in unless it's in the working hours, for example. So or whatever other kind of examples you may find in there. So this is the primarily goal of network security.